Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics. In this video, I'd like to discuss the incident yesterday where Boris Johnson deliberately stole a mobile phone in a career change, presumably wants to become a sneak thief, and what it tells us, if we didn't already know about his character. But first, if you'd like to see more of my videos, then please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So, for those who may not be familiar with this story, a little background. It starts off in a hospital. A child of 4 suffering from pneumonia has been laid down on the floor because there are not enough hospital beds. I've talked in other videos about the serious problems facing the NHS, and after a decade of Conservative governments, this winter is going to be absolutely devastating. Well, this 4-year-old pneumonia sufferer being laid on the floor due to a lack of beds, it's not even winter yet. The problems haven't even hit. The worst is yet to come. But anyway, a journalist was recording an interview with Boris Johnson and wanted the Prime Minister's comments on the fact that our NHS is essentially on its arse, and what he thought of the fact that such a vulnerable person was not able to get anything like even the basic level of care that they should have been provided with. The journalist wanted to show Johnson a picture of the young lad on his mobile phone. Now, let us imagine for a moment that he just thought that massively undermining the NHS in order to fully privatise our healthcare and save himself a few pennies in tax was actually in the best interest of the country. Let's imagine that that's what he genuinely believed. You might still consider that the plight of this young boy would be taken with some regret. Perhaps you justify it as unfortunate collateral damage for a policy that's actually in the interests of the greater good. Now, I'm never in favour of the can't make an omelette without breaking eggs defence in politics, but Johnson didn't even try to use that. He took the phone from the journalist in order to really avoid having to look at it, shoved it in his pocket, finished talking, and then made to walk away. The journalist had to tell the Prime Minister that he'd just taken his phone, and he'd really rather he didn't do that. It was essentially an act of petty theft, and he knew it wasn't his phone. He just took it from the journalist and put it in his pocket. And this, I think, shows us 3 things about Boris Johnson that make him totally unfit for any sort of public office. The first is that he thinks so little of other people's possessions. It's nothing for him to take or break them. Remember when the police had to be called to his girlfriend's home because of the fears of domestic violence in a row that was banging and crashing between him and her? Part of it included the girlfriend shouting at him, who'd apparently spilled wine all over a sofa. She was shouting that you simply don't care about things. This was clearly not a one-off. And it is just an indication for me that he really doesn't place value on anything that others do. And given that the Prime Minister is supposed to be safeguarding what we as a society, as a community, do value, like the NHS, for example, it shows that he simply has no interest. If it isn't valuable to him, he will pay no attention to it whatsoever. Does he need the NHS? No. He's too wealthy, he'll use private healthcare. So he won't lift a finger to do anything to help the NHS because that's something of value to others, but he doesn't see that value. Does he care about your business? Whether you're working as an employee in that business or you own that business, which will be under severe pressure from Brexit? No, because it's not his business. Like he said before, business. The second thing this act shows that he simply has no empathy for others. I'm not an idealist. I understand that even well-intentioned policies can adversely affect some people by accident. A decent minister would apologise and take steps to cover the cracks through which some people have unfortunately fallen through. You can't foresee everything. No attempt to even do that. Alternatively, he could have feigned compassion and said that this shows exactly why he wants people to give him the majority in Parliament so that he can make sure that NHS is properly resourced and this sort of thing will not happen again. Those who know what he's like won't be fooled by that statement, of course, but he's hardly won them over with stealing that journalist's phone. But many others would be. Quite a lot of people have already accepted his notion that the reason he can't get things done is because he doesn't have a majority in Parliament. And all they have to do is give him that majority and he's going to make everything wonderful. He's going to make the NHS wonderful. He's going to make policing wonderful. He's going to make transport wonderful. Everything's going to be wonderful. A lot of people have already bought into that. They've already bought into the idea that people shouldn't judge his government by the record of the last decade of Conservative rule. He is different, and he will put the pain caused by over 9 years of Tory government to rights. He could actually have gained some political capital from the event, but no, it simply didn't occur to him to do that because he doesn't care about the child. He doesn't understand why other people care about the child. Hell, he doesn't even care about his own children, all of whom he has abandoned. This man doesn't care about anyone that isn't him. And this incident just brings that part of his character into sharp focus again. So if he doesn't care about anything that's not him, why on earth would we think he would care about anything that he needs to do as Prime Minister that is important to us? And third and finally, it shows that he simply doesn't care about right or wrong, or even if he's caught doing wrong. He stole a phone. Let's say what he did. He stole a phone. It wasn't absent-mindedly picking up the wrong phone from a table or something by mistake. He took another person's phone from their hand and put it in his pocket and attempted to walk away. And he did this knowing he was on camera. He simply didn't care. Just like he didn't care when he broke the law back in September. Just like he didn't care when he broke the law back in 2016. You know, as far as Boris Johnson is concerned, the rules don't matter a damn if nobody stops him breaking them. And he'll just deny that he ever broke the rules, even when a court is saying, yes, you did. Even when it's proven. He will just say he didn't. When asked later on why he took the phone, you know what Boris Johnson said? He just replied, I think I've already answered that question. And then he just moved on. He hadn't answered it. Of course he hadn't. But little details like the truth, even verifiable truth, are of no concern to him. None at all. He will then think of nothing of doing the most terrible things to distract from this behaviour. Just like Donald Trump, when he does a thing, then has to do a more extreme thing to distract from the other thing. On this occasion, it was by getting Health Secretary Matt Hancock to visit the hospital and claim that one of his aides was punched by Labour activists. This didn't happen. Footage showed that this didn't happen. Nothing of the sort occurred. But that didn't stop a BBC reporter from spreading these lies, all too happy to report whatever Conservative Party HQ tell them to report. And something like that can be very damaging. It's all very well sometime later that reporter retracting the statement. We're a few days away from a general election. Okay, a lot of people will have seen the initial story because those Conservative pretend grassroots sites on social media will have blown it everywhere and linked it to the BBC. Not the retraction, just the fact that, Labour activists are punching, civil servants effectively. No. So the Conservatives will think nothing at all of using violence or violent language because their supporters are fine with that. They approve of it. But they know that their opponents, Labour, the Liberal Democrats, the Green Party, the SNP, everyone, are supported by people with a moral compass, and they would be repelled by the thought of throwing in their lot with hoodlums. So the lie was effective in two regards, offering distraction from a genuine crime committed by the Prime Minister and pretending that a serious crime had been committed by a Labour supporter when it never had. And I cannot tell you how sick in my stomach it will make me feel if I have to wake up on Friday and see that this man has been propelled back to Parliament with a majority behind him. So those are my thoughts on the subject. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you'd like to click the like button, that'd be brilliant. And if you'd like to support the channel even further, then please click on the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.